I want to review in one segment clips from a few different Trump events, just to sort of get through these. And let's start with a moment where Trump says something and the crowd decides this is the moment where they're going to erupt in boos. And because of this, I decided the way I want to structure this segment is showing you what they do boo at, and then we'll go and see across Trump events what they choose not to boo at. Very weird boo priorities, okay, coming from the MAGA audience. While you watch this clip, please do, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. I know he's saying it so much. Stop it. The reason is because it's been the goal before the election to get to it. 1 million subscribers, and we've crossed 900,000. Today we could get there if everyone who watches normally, who's not subscribed, chooses to just go ahead and do it. Thank you so much. And here's Trump.
My name is Bob. I'm a retired union worker from Hazleton on a fixed income. Many Americans in my position struggle to make ends meet. Will you commit to helping protect Social Security and Medicare benefits?
A great question. The answer is yes. And when you say fixed income, because of Biden and Kamala, nobody knows her as Harris. I can't use the word Harris. And by the way, it's her 60th birthday, so I want to wish her a happy 60th birthday. Right? No, happy birthday. And many more, and I mean it, so, I do mean it, actually.
And many more. Oh, my gosh. Going and many more. No, I'm kidding. I mean it. No, I really do. I really mean it. Okay, why did you think I thought you didn't mean it and you were wishing death upon her initially? That's weird. And the crowd, they will boo at Kamala Harris daring, think about this, the gall on Kamala Harris to turn 60. How dare she put that in our face? So they will boo at that. And that was the event that only got worse from there. We've already talked about clips from that. That was where Trump went. And I'm not even close to 80, and he's 78 in a few months. So only got worse from there. But because I want to skip through a few events, let's move on from that town hall and get to Trump in Concord, North Carolina. Concord. And here, the audience has no interest in booing about Trump saying this dangerous thing.
They play the ref. They start screaming about the judge is no good and this one's no good and they're slow and they're lousy judges and the judge should be impeached and all of this crap when you have a brilliant judge that's doing the right thing. And they get, and some people will fold a little bit. They'll say, hey, I'll get them off my back. Let me just give a bad ruling here or there. And some will do that, actually, but fortunately, most have courage and they understand. I really believe it's illegal what they do. And I know there's some great lawyers in the room. You ought to look at it because what they do is so obvious. What they've done to the Supreme Court.
So if this were a rational crowd, that's what they would boo at. You're saying make illegal criticizing judges. And then I guess here he's talking about specifically Supreme Court justices. So let's just keep track. In just the last day, Trump has said ads that are negative about him because he's saying they're all filled with lies. Those are illegal. They shouldn't be allowed on the air. CBS should not be allowed on the air according to Trump because they did an interview with Kamala Harris he didn't like. And now it's illegal what people are doing in criticizing Supreme Court justices. Are you not seeing a pattern here, MAGA? This is not the guy who's going to be your warrior for the Constitution, obviously. Then, him being responsible for getting Republicans to shoot down a once-in-a-generation strong border security bill so that the problem would be exacerbated so that Trump could run on it. They're not going to boo at that, and they're going to love his explanation of why he did it.
I never had a bill. All you have to do as president, wake him up and say, Joe, we need you to say close the border. That's what I did.
That's right.
I just said we're closing the border. He keeps talking about, they keep bringing up a phony bill. The bill was horrible. 2 million people are allowed in. It was a horrible bill, stupid bill, but has nothing to do. As president, you have it's called extreme power. You have extreme power. You can, by the fact you say, close the border, and the border is closed. That's it. Very, very simple. You don't need all of this nonsense that they.
So the extreme power comment. Let's actually address that. That reminded me of this moment from when Trump was president.
Issue a stay-at-home. When you say my authority, the president's authority, not mine, because it's not me. This is when somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be.
Total. The authority is total.
It's total. And the governors know that.
So if
the governors know that. Now you have a couple.
So the president has total authority, he said, and has extreme power, as he just recently said. Very weird terms, off, to describe the office of the presidency. But I've gone over it so many times. His explanation of why he shot down the border security bill is just a lie. 2 million people would be allowed in. He's talking, the way they get that number is the bill would give the president extra crisis authority if crossings get to a certain number. That doesn't mean border laws before then aren't enforced. They are. But that you have enhanced authority to restrict the asylum process whenever the number gets to a certain amount. And Trump is then taking that, I think doubling it, but I can't remember the exact figures, and then saying that's what they're just not enforcing the laws in relation to. Completely wrong. Then you have him saying this.
In Colorado, where you have a governor who's a radical left governor who's petrified of the whole situation. And they have military-style weapons. They have weapons that are of military quality. Somebody said it might be a step up. It's called a military supreme. They have weapons and they're taking over.
I feel like that's something you would get at Taco Bell. His new thing is, can you imagine the weapons that undocumented immigrants who are engaging in criminal activity have access to? My point is, if you want to talk about how we prevent criminals from getting dangerous guns, let's do it. But you're the one who prevents any action on that. Undocumented or people who are in the United States legally, if people are using weapons illegally, obtaining weapons illegally, and they're dangerous weapons, I want to address that. And also, I don't think he knows what the military has if he thinks the videos of, criminals with guns are examples of guns that the military don't have access to. Then the crowd has no interest in rejecting, booing, when Trump makes no sense on solar panels.
That angle is not there anymore. They tried it. They had solar. They had solar fields that were so big. I mean, I saw a solar field come, and I'm in favor of solar, but it's not the same thing. It's got to fire up these massive plants. It's not going to. But I saw a solar field the other day that looked like it took up half the desert. I'd never saw anything like it. It's all steel and glass and wires, and it looks like hell. And you see rabbits, they get caught in it, and for the environmentalists, it's just terrible. I like, some applications where you have it on a roof or you have it on something, but I'm looking at solar fields that are like miles and miles of just, and what it does to your desert areas or the areas that you're putting, it's just crazy.
I don't know why so often his followers, just sort of because it seems like they think they're owning the libs. They just argue against things that are good for them. So they're nodding along. Yeah, Trump. Solar farms are so stupid. But what Trump's talking about, he even described it as such, are these desolate plots of land. They weren't doing anything. No one was using them for anything. They're not close to anything, so they're not that valuable. And instead of them just sitting there not generating any value, we can go turn it into a solar farm if it's, the right place for that. And then all of a sudden something that wasn't generating much value is generating a bunch of value, generating energy. It becomes a moneymaker. Why wouldn't we do that? That's a great use for that sort of unwanted land. And if some plot of land that's currently being used that is not super valuable, so it's not like people are, no, but we could use it for something way better, is currently a solar farm, and just out of spite, Trump's saying, let's just get rid of that because it looks gross and I hate it, then all he's doing is hurting the people who are using that energy in some capacity. And all of a sudden, the supply of the energy has decreased. Likely they're going to have to pay more for energy because of it. Or we could do sort of what Biden Harris is doing, which is they're not shutting down fossil fuel production, but trying to stimulate renewable energy production so that we can slowly or try it as quickly as possible, increase our capacity in that category so that we can wean ourselves off of fossil fuels. The beautiful, perfect way to do it so that it can, for the consumers, not be painful. For the consumers, won't impact the prices in an excruciating way as some proposals of this transition could do. But somehow, even though this could be something that we're not really partisan about, Trump finds a way to argue against it just because liberals, solar panels, gross. Then one of the guys on this panel at a Latino Americans for Trump event came up with a way to pronounce Vice President Kamala Harris's name that I've never heard before.
In chief is Kamala Harris and this administration.
Yeah.
And someone goes, yeah, maybe so. Maybe if you're disparaging Kamala Harris, then say whatever you want about her, because I've never heard of her. That's not who I'm supporting for president. Kamala Harris, I am. Why do they do this? I think we know why. But why? We've heard every configuration, and I thought I'd heard them all, and now apparently that's how some people think you say it. Which is interesting, because while the other mispronunciations, a lot of people stumble into in good faith. Kamala, you've heard people say, right? But you can imagine looking at the spelling of that word and not trying to botch it and pronouncing it that way. Even though Trump goes, they say we're supposed to say it Kamala, but I don't care, I'm going to say Kamala. That's just petty and ridiculous and childish. But that one, I think, is even easier to make fun of with this gentleman, because it's not even close to any of the letters that are present in that first name. Kamala, where's the Y before the M, I guess, is how you would spell it like that. What are you talking about? Anyways, I know that's a small thing, but it always gets under my skin. And then you have Trump saying this.
Because if we lose this election, we may not have a country anymore. We may not, and I've heard this from a lot of very smart people that are very straight down the middle. They say, we may never have an election again in this country. This is where we're going. I used to say that if we don't do something, we all know what's happened with Venezuela.
Yeah. No booze about that. They said that we caused the attempted assassinations that were horrible, but that it was people who disagree with Trump politically who caused it, right? Our rhetoric, because we said Trump threatens democracy. But they see no hypocrisy in then going, after they called that statement of he threatens democracy provoking violence, they see no hypocrisy, contradiction in then going, oh yeah, but y'all would definitely end elections forever. Even though if you had to make the argument that one of the candidates has a chance to prevent elections from going on in the future, would it be the person who's never shown any interest in doing so, or the person who lost an election and then literally tried to stay in power after losing? Probably the latter. That would be my rough guess for sure. And there are some other things, but I think you're getting the point. Let's wrap it up with this one. Oh, got it all wrong. Here we go.
Such hell, and it's as big a water, that's as big a water storm, they say, as we've ever seen in this country. And they just set a record.
Right. And actually, I meant to play this next one, so let's wrap on this one.
And we will proudly say Merry Christmas again.
Oh no. He's bringing that back. The war on Christmas. He said that he brought back the ability to, in a different speech, he said this, for people to say Merry Christmas. That he brought it back. I want to respect, and I want to really hear people out when they believe themselves to be a victim of something, right? Even if it's just in a social political sense, they feel victimized by the system and all that. I want to hear it out. I want to sympathize. But when you start creating fake things to make yourself feel like the victim of everything, MAGA, it gets really hard to sympathize because you're saying you've been victimized by the Biden regime who has tried to take away your pride in saying Merry Christmas. Why are you less proud saying Merry Christmas now? Just because some people might say Happy Holidays to you doesn't take away your ability to say Merry Christmas. Have all the pride you want. Pride parade, baby. But they invent problems like the undocumented immigrant in the prison, transgender, whatever. They invent these outrage storylines all so that Trump doesn't have to answer for the real stuff. Can you cut back to this blue screen, Jaden? What is going on with his makeup? He just keeps making it darker and darker. And I feel like at some point that gets really into iffy territory. But just some strange stuff there. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Support the show by clicking that join button below.